Hello there.
Bum ba dum bum bum. Just kidding. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Cantina Social Hour Friday night. How's everybody doing? It is great to see you. It is great to be here. I am stoked. What better way to spend the end of the long, tiring work week than talking about toys, talking about collectibles, talking about our favorite things in the world. It is fabulous to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. And I am really excited about tonight's show, as I am every show, of course. But am I a little more excited tonight? I don't know, maybe. All right, it is great to see everybody. Thank you for being here. Let's see who's in the house with us. Before we introduce tonight's guest, we have a lot to talk about. We got Adam in the house. Adam is our bouncer. Also, he's keeping the peace is what he's doing. He's keeping the peace. So if there's anything shady going on, Adam's going to know about it. So don't even try it. Don't throw any bar stools. Don't fling any glasses across the room because we ain't having it. Adam is on top of that. Thank you, Adam. We appreciate you as always. Dodgson in the house. How's it going? That's no moon. It's a social hour. I like it. I like it. We've got Paul in the house. Hey, Paul. What's up? Good to see you as always. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Dum, 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 dum. Who else is here tonight? We've got Britt. Hey, Britt. How's it going? Good to see you as always. William, how's it going, William? Thank you for being here with us tonight. We got we have Jason in the house. Hey, Jason. Jason from Texas. How are you doing? We got RVW. How's it going? Has the live chat started yet? I think the live chat, I saw comments in here like at 2 o'clock, like hours ago. Somebody was chatting. I don't know with who. Maybe with themselves, but that's okay because that's chaos. Let's see. We've got in the house Steven. Steven, been a while since I've seen you, but thank you for hanging out. We got Allison with us. Trevor Richie with us. Tonight we got Brad Joost with us. Tonight, Rogue Killer is here. Awesome. Cool. We're off to a good start. We're off to the races. All right, you guys. So tonight's topic. So we have a range to talk about. As you guys know, D23 was taking place last week. It started before we did last week's show, but a lot of the good news, a lot of the important stuff didn't quite happen until after, other than the exclusives. We knew what was going to be, and we talked about it last week, all the exclusives that I was interested in, that a lot of you were interested in, and that many of you were unable to obtain. And, you know, I lump myself into that category as well. Very frustratingly so. So we're going to break that down, how that went. We're going to talk about, should HasLab have more than just one carded figure when a HasLab comes out? Should there be a loose figure too? All right. We're going to break down the latest trailer for Star Wars Skeleton Crew. I mean, you guys saw that last week. It's funny because we were talking about it at the very end of the show that I did last week with Jason, Work More or Less, who was on the show, and talking about, you know, when is that trailer going to come? Because we were looking at those pictures that had been officially released last week. And then like 10 minutes after we ended the show, the trailer dropped. So we missed out on it, but we're going to talk about it tonight. And then, of course, we're going to end with brand new acquisitions to our collections. Have you added anything to your collections? You're going to let me know at that point. And our panel is going to let us know at that point. All right. So cool, you guys. I'm stoked. It looks like a lot of my friends are here in the chat. And we got a good crew forming here in the Cantina. In the what? In the Cantina. Good to see. I'm losing it. It's been a long week. So why don't we go ahead and bring in tonight's guests. So let me go ahead and introduce tonight's show and tonight's crew. Who's going to be with us tonight? Let's go.
This is where the fun begins.
All right. Joining us from the fantastic, the Jurassic Park podcast, which I believe is like in its like 10th year, something insane. He'll tell us in just a moment. The one, the only, incredible Brad Joost. Hey, Brad, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on? I'm so happy. Let me just say, I'm so happy that I am not the only one to start with a muted mic. Finally.
Oh my God. And you know, it's funny because this has not happened to me before. Like, it had to be the one where you came on. Like, I don't know. I don't know what you did, but you brought that with you.
I'm so happy. Oh man, that's great. Thank you for having me. This is gonna be fun. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for being here. And then making his Cantina debut here on Sashar for the very first time. Longtime watcher, has a tremendous collection of his own. Bringing him into the Cantina tonight, we've got Rick, also known as Shattered Glass Jazz, with us. Hey, Rick, how's it going?
Hey, doing all right. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's awesome to have you. And you can see a bit of that collection behind you. Just looks so good. So good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I am stoked that both of you are here. Both of you are very much into the theme parks as well as I am. And with D23, we got a lot of announcements for what's coming to the parks and what's coming to Disney Plus in terms of Star Wars. So we're going to be breaking that down. And then, of course, talking about the toys aspect of it all, the collectibles aspect of it all, because then it just wouldn't be Cantina Shower without some toy talk. So it just worked out that you're both here this week. So again, thank you. And Brad, how long has the Jurassic Park podcast been going on now?
Oh yeah, that's right. You did cue that up, and I just glossed over it because I was too excited. It's coming up on the 10th year, because it started in 2015, and with the next movie coming out next year, that'll be the 10th anniversary of Jurassic World and our podcast. So yeah, long time.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think I was on in 2015. I was like pretty early on. And I still remember, we were talking about like the dino hybrids, like Hasbro dinosaurs. I think that was my first one.
Oh, wow. Yeah. What a toy line. That was an interesting one.
I know. I can't believe it's been that long since Jurassic World and since your show started, because it's like, man, like for me, there's a lot of like nostalgia for that time period with like Jurassic coming back, after a long hiatus, and people, being excited and connecting online in a way that fans of that franchise never had before. And I think you were there kind of to lead that charge with your show. So that was a great time for me.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate you saying that. It was nice to kind of feel like I was at the center of gathering people to talk about it. It was really cool. It still is. I'm on a slight hiatus for the end of summer here, just to kind of wrap up. And I keep wondering, hey, when is there going to be new movie news? And they're not dropping it. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to keep doing this little summer break. But it's nice. I can't wait to get back into it and bring more people on and talk about this upcoming movie, whatever it is, whenever they decide to announce it.
Yeah, for sure. And at least we'll have Chaos Theory to keep us busy next month.
That's true. Yeah. Oh yeah. Wow. Right around the corner.
Yeah. And then Rick, you're a lifelong collector as well. You've been buying stuff for a long time, and your focuses are kind of like me. You're a little bit all over the place. Can you tell us a little bit about what you collect as far as your own personal interests?
Yep. I've definitely been collecting since day one, the Kenner stuff. And even today, the Kenner stuff is super important to me. Believe it or not, I never displayed the Kenner stuff until last year. And I found some acrylic cases, and I finally got them up. And that day just felt like a surreal day, because they've been in the vinyl cases from the 70s and the early 80s for years. And I finally put them up. So I don't think a day goes by that I don't come in here and look at those. So they're still very important. And I do have a good collection. I don't have the variants, and I'm not that deep into the variant into things. But Kenner, so I do the retro and the vintage collection. I have a lot of them. I probably have maybe 90% of the vintage collection, maybe 95 at the most. So there's a few I still need, but I do Black Series. I do 1/6 scale Sideshow, Hot Toys. I did the premium format for a few years, and then I found out that they were just super space suckers. So I sold most of them. I still have a few, but I don't do the premiums much anymore. But I collect G.I. Joe, Transformers, both day one collections from way back. I do Motu. I have a big section of the room, bigger than what made sense in my brain of Motu, but Motu lately takes up a lot of space. So I've got, Snake Mountain, multiple Gray Skulls, and the Eternia playset is probably the biggest space sucker in the room right now. You read the measurements, but as a collector in this new world that we live in, where we get everything because we're spoiled rotten as far as just premium big projects, you see the measurements, but you're never ready for the actual play set. So I collect that. A little bit of odds and ends, Silverhawks, Thundercats, stuff like that. But those are the main ones. And then the newest one is Strawberry Shortcake. And the reason that came about was I had a lot of, we moved a few years ago, and I had this room custom built, like ground up. So I had an opportunity to put more things in it finally. And I had a lot of people came through the room between the ages of, kids my kids' age that were like 11, but then also people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. And one thing that I always wanted was a representation of female-oriented action figures from when I was little. Mm. And my cousin and I were pretty close growing up, and I remember she had Strawberry Shortcake, and we spent a weekend at my great-grandmother's house, and I didn't have any toys there. She had hers, and we played with Strawberry Shortcake. So last year, I found myself going back and getting, I'm collecting a mint box, but before I knew it, I had the house, the very berry home, and now that's taking up room on the opposite side of the room as well. So I collect everything, Victoria. I collect everything.
Nice. Well, I feel you there. Just, we like everything. We like so many things, and, it's kind of hard not to.
Tough.
And people have said, why you like everything, that's cool, but why do you have to buy everything? Why do you have to collect a little bit of everything that exists? Yes. I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's just like a creative outlet and just, I don't know, some way to encapsulate like that interest that you have and that fascination that you found with something. But I don't know. That's what we do. I can't really explain it. Yeah. Awesome. So it looks like more friends are joining us here in the chat. So thank you to those of you who are coming in and joining us as well. Yeah, there's a question here. Not really related to anything at the moment, but I do like it. Does the fight in Kenobi change or have any effect on the interpretation of their dialogue in A New Hope? I say no. I just say no. But that's me. All right, cool. Best way to spend the last few hours at work. You're still at work, Jason? Oh my. Well, thank you for hanging out with us the last few hours of your work here. I'm just scrolling through. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Anyone with us here? Awesome. I think we're good. Oh, these are Malcolm glasses, really? I don't know about that. I don't know if I would say these are Ian Malcolm glasses. So what happened is I fell asleep in my contacts last night.
Oh no.
I was just so tired. I laid down, boom, fell asleep. And yeah, my right eye, luckily it's not as bad now, but it was like really red earlier. So I had to take my contact out, and yeah, so now I'm bound to glasses probably for a couple of days. Anyway, cool, you guys. I think, where are you? Come here. My dog I think she wants to leave the room. But she's trapped. She's stuck in here with me. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with our very first topic here. And that is D23 Disney Parks news. So there was a lot of news that came out of D23 regarding what they have in store for the American parks, Walt Disney World in Florida and Disneyland here in California. And I want to just kind of highlight some of those things because, we all love the theme parks, and, it's for me, it's a really big, I love going to the parks, and Brad, I know you do too, and Rick, you do too. And it's just a great place to be. Especially now, with all the Star Wars and everything that, you can find at the parks these days. So I guess I'm going to start off with, let's start off with Florida, because I know you go to Florida more often, Brad, than I think both of you do. I think, Rick, you go to Florida more often than here, California.
Yeah.
So for Walt Disney World, Magic Kingdom, it sounds like they are bringing cars to the Disney Magic Kingdom there. Interesting. I mean, I love the execution of the one at Disney California Adventure. It's one of my favorite things to do in that entire resort. It's just a really fun thing. And I mean, I love cars, not just like Pixar cars, but just cars in general. So for me, it's like a great thing to go on Radiator Springs Racers. Brad, how did you feel when they said, "Hey, we're bringing cars to Magic Kingdom"?
Well, it's been a rumor for like a long time now that Florida would eventually get cars, and it's been assumed for so long that we would just get Radiator Springs, and that would be great. Like I love that section. I've been there one time to the California parks, and I thought it was awesome. And I was really excited to go to that because my son collects all the cars, from Target. There's just or Walmart or whatever. There's just tons of them in the store every time, and we would always pick one up every time we went. So I wanted to get him to that land before he got out of the movie, and stopped liking it or whatever. But I'm really excited that it came here. And when they started talking about it and hinting, I was like, no way, they're not going to do it, are they? And they did. But I think this D23 really showed us something pretty awesome about Disney's planning from here on out, is that they're not just cloning attractions. Finally, I feel like they've taken way too long to learn this, that for so many years they've been just cloning things and just porting them from Florida to California or whatever way. And it's been kind of just like, it's fine. But like when I go to California and I go to Galaxy's Edge, I'm like, I don't need to see it. I've already seen it. It's in Florida. It's the same thing. So to finally have like a new version of something that's not Cars Land, it's its own thing. Really, really exciting. They were very ominous at the time about where it would be placed within Frontierland. And there's since been new concept art that basically shows it in the Rivers of America, which is, the big riverway that has the big riverboat on it. You can cross over into Tom Sawyer Island. So it seems like they're just going to be filling that in and just putting this all right there, which is kind of wild and kind of upsetting. I'm still excited about it, but it's going to change that side of the park dramatically. It's a little weird.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I hear you there. And I struggled with the same thing when they were doing Galaxy's Edge, because we still have Rivers of America, thankfully, but it is 3/4 of the size it used to be. So it's a much shorter boat ride going around the island. And yeah, so, it was just kind of, I mean, I'm really big, as you know, in the history of the parks, and I really respect the history, and I love learning about it and sharing, through the Discoveryland podcast and about that. But yeah, I mean, I guess they ultimately decided it was worth doing that.
Yeah, I guess it's interesting because it completely demolishes the idea of like Frontierland, because the first day off they added Tiana in there, great looking ride. Doesn't really fit the full concept of Frontierland, but then we're going to have cars within Frontierland. And then we also have Country Bears now singing current music. So the entire idea of Frontierland is like, it just doesn't exist anymore. It's just a cool place that's based off the frontier, kind of.
Sure. Yeah. So the other thing that they brought to light was another land that I guess is coming kind of in the same vicinity, it sounds like. But now there's also going to be a villains area, which I've heard people asking for that for like the last 10 years, wanting some kind of a villains focused area. Rick, when you saw this, that they were going to be coming out with, a villains oriented land, what were your initial thoughts?
Well, I remember they've been talking about this. It may be longer than 10 years. I remember as far back as, I guess it was called Pleasure Island. Back then, they were talking about just early ideas and concepts about villains kind of taking over something. This is my love language, my Disney love language. Haunted Mansion and Galaxy's Edge, those are the two things that I always just have to do. Big Thunder's another one. But I'm a big fan of, out of the animated stuff, the things that always spoke to me were the villains, Maleficent especially. So, and I think it's a lot of fun. It's got a there's it's funny for so long there's been a tightrope walk that Disney would do when it came to the bad guys, even someone like Hades, for instance. And it's really interesting to see the new world that we're in, where Deadpool and Wolverine is in the theater, and it's a hard R. And then something like this that really takes the other side of, I think the words they were using were that happily ever after. It takes the opposite approach. And I like the idea that even as old as I am now, I will get to experience something especially brand new as part of that park. So that, to me, that's really exciting. And my wife likes the villains as well, and she collects the mini ears. She has a wall of the ears, so she was happy to see this.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. And I think the villains, you know, as you noted, have grown in popularity as a whole, as like its own sub not really franchise, but like sub. I guess in terms of fandoms, like people love the villains inside of like the wider Disney collective. But yeah, no, I similarly, you know, this is exciting. Like this will give me like extra reason to want to go, you know, across the country to the other park. Yeah. But you know, I still go back to, you know, what Brad was just saying, you know, this is kind of, it is coming at great expense to the legacy of the existing park, right? Because it is kind of, it sounds like it's behind or somewhere around where the new Cars area will be.
Yeah, so it's gonna be like out of the bounds of what we have currently, so it shouldn't infringe on anything. It'll be interesting though to see how they connect like the Haunted Mansion area to this, because it should be directly kind of behind that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, will be interesting to see for sure. All right, so let's see, what do we have next? That's Cars, that's Villains. I'm closing my tabs as I go because I don't want to accidentally pull up the wrong thing, which has happened before. I've never started on mute before, but I have pulled up the wrong tabs in the past. Okay, so as far as where are you? I guess I did lose a tab here. So Galaxy's Edge. It's at Disney Hollywood Studios. It's at Disneyland. And one of the rides that opened with that land, I guess in 2019 now, it's been, you know, it's kind of like, wow, it's already been 5 years, but Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. A ride that, you know, I think initially people were very excited about. You know, you get to fly the Millennium Falcon or participate on some level. And I don't know, it's kind of one of those that for me, like I wanted to love it when it opened and I got to go onto it for the first time, but there's just so many variables with how that ride plays out in terms of like everybody has a role, which is kind of cool that you kind of put in the hands of the guests. But at the same time, that's also a very frustrating aspect of the ride, because depending on who's there, it can be a very difficult thing that's not necessarily very enjoyable. So now they're switching it out. They're going to bring in the Mandalorian and Grogu instead of the current thing with Hondo going to look for coaxium. It's being switched to more. I don't want to say current media, because it wasn't not current media. It just wasn't like anything that was very. I mean, I know a lot of people know who Hondo is, and you know, we all know the Falcon and all that, but maybe the wider audience didn't. And so I don't know. They're tying it in a little bit more to what's more established, I suppose, at this point, which is the Mandalorian. How do we feel about that, Brad? What are your thoughts on that switch?
This is awesome. I'm so hyped about this because, like you said, I mean, I think the ride's still great. Like I really do enjoy going on it, but like you said, it's just like, you know, the ride experience can be iffy here or there. I don't care if like some kids crashing all over the place, because the land doesn't work in the way that they initially set it up as. Like, if you do well in this ride, it's going to pay off for you later within the land when some character comes up to you and says, hey, great job on flying the Falcon, you know, if Hondo comes up to you or something. But that doesn't happen in the land. So I think all that crashing, whatever, that's going to happen still in this version of the ride. But I'm so happy, and I've been begging for this on the Forcecast and on my other show, Grim Grinning Hosts, like just talking about like just add a new sequence in there. Everybody will want it. Everybody will have fun, and this is going to be awesome. I do imagine that Hondo will still be a part of it, and I wonder if they have a way to tie him into the lore a little bit deeper. Maybe, hopefully, coming up soon. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, it'd be great to see him in live action or something. I love the animatronic; it's great, and having him in there, he's a fun element for me. But yeah, it is an interesting change, and maybe he'll still be there. Rick, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, this is something I was talking about not even 6 months ago, having conversations. My kid and I have conversations about theme park stuff now because he's been maybe 4 or 5 times, and we finally got good at it. Like our last trip was the first time we made it to like the extensions of the ride. Like we were like, what just happened? Are we good now? So we finally got good at it, and it took us at least 5 or 6 times. But I'm so excited about if they start changing it up like this and the ride is able to be flexible with content. I love that. I mean, Star Tours has been doing it to some extent for years. So this made complete sense to me. It's something I've talked about in my house, and I think it's going to be awesome. I know I've been jealous of California because I haven't experienced going to the park and seeing Mando, Grogu, Hera, Ahsoka. Like I haven't had that experience, and I keep hoping and praying that that's going to be something that Disney World does on the regular. So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I think it'll be a positive change. I mean, people obviously love The Mandalorian, and it's ever since that show came out, people have asked like, why isn't there more of Mandalorian and Grogu in Galaxy's Edge? Like, it's they very much kind of locked it into this time frame, right, of the sequel trilogy, and then even more specifically in between 2 of the films, right? So it's initially they seemed very hesitant to bring anything else in from other timelines, but now thankfully they're doing that a little bit more. And maybe one day, I mean, I don't know what the implications that'll have like on a wider level long term, but at least for now they're kind of responding to what people are asking for. So that's kind of a neat thing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with the Star Cruiser going down, because the Star Cruiser down here in Florida was tied to the canonical story. So once that went away, now they can kind of free themselves up and just do whatever they do, and also what California's been doing, like you said, Rick. It's awesome that they have so many characters out there, and I am jealous too. I'm like, where are they? Bring some of them here.
I know.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing they shared was that Avatar is coming to California Adventure. It seems like it's a new land. They announced a new attraction for it. Yeah, so they've had this in Animal Kingdom for a number of years now, and I mean, I guess I'll go first on this one. This one is a little more perplexing for me because when I go online and I read people are reacting and talking about, I mean, I think Avatar, is fairly well loved, but I don't think, as far as its like lasting power, like when that initial movie came, it kind of came and went. It was huge, but then nobody really talked about it afterward. And then they built the park or the land for it at Animal Kingdom, and now they're doing another one. And it's funny because when they announced this, I went online, I was like reading comments. People were like, no, we don't want this. We don't want this. We don't want this. So it's just kind of interesting that they keep trying to push like Avatar when nobody's necessarily asking for it. That doesn't mean they can't do an amazing thing with it, and probably will do an amazing thing with it and create a really incredible attraction. But I'm reading my friend here. Tim, am I a hater? I don't know about that. That might be a little much, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so it's just kind of interesting. It's just interesting. Like in California Adventures just becomes such a weird thing, because initially it was just like kind of, it was very, kitschy and very California focused. And then they did a really big, like over $1 billion remodel back in like 2012. And then they kind of focused it more on like California, but like in the earlier decades, like, but now it's just kind of like it has everything now. It's got Marvel Land, it's got, you know, this coming and Pixar, and it's just not very focused. It just doesn't really have, I feel like the park has less and less of an identity as time goes on. But yeah, how are you guys feeling about Avatar expanding? Is that something that you think is going to resonate with a lot of people?
Check the box office. I think yeah. I think the answer is yes. I think it's kind of the same problem that like Jurassic fans see, right? Like if you go online, go on Twitter, and you just look up the conversation surrounding the Jurassic movies, everybody hates it, literally everybody. But then you check the box office, and it crosses $1 billion every time. So people are there, people enjoy it. So I think the same thing goes for Avatar, and the land in Florida is amazing. This is a different one. It looks like kind of like one of the rides that they have in Florida, but just on steroids, the river journey. So that's going to be really, really exciting. And I don't know how they're going to fit any of this into California Adventure, but I think by the time this is all done, might be my favorite park ever. We'll see.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. I love the optimism. Rick, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, we enjoy, you know, the one in Florida. We enjoy it. I think it's beautiful. I remember the first time I went, it definitely inspires you quite a bit. Like when you're walking through it, whether it's daytime or evening time. The second time, I was not quite as like gung ho about it, but I like it. I think it's well done. Part of me wishes that there was a ride system where you got a little bit of the guys in the mech suits after you while you're, I don't know, like I just want a little bit more of the almost like a little bit more of the Transformers ride at Universal, where it's I just want to be kind of fighting the fight a little bit more, or like, you know, kind of running into those things. But I think the land is beautiful. I love a lot of the my kid and I both adopted a banshee. Like I love the little banshees and some of that stuff. I'm such a sucker for like theme park gimmicky things. I love them. Their drinks and things are really cool too. They're super sweet, but I do like them. So I mean, this is intriguing to me because it looks different, very different. So I'd be intriguing to go and explore it. I think from my end of things, and I know you guys are probably, my wife's a huge Jurassic Park fan, but I would assume you both, when you saw this, you were like, why can't Universal do this for Jurassic Park? I would think that's what people are thinking. It's hard not to compare the two for whatever reason. But yeah, that's kind of what my thoughts when I saw it, you know, because we do Universal as well, but it's hard not to compare like what everyone is doing and kind of looking in on it. It's an intriguing topic or hobby in and of itself, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I, you know, what I do appreciate is like what Brad was saying earlier about, you know, the cars thing, is that they're not just like straight bringing the exact same line, duplicating it. They're doing their own thing, something a little bit different. And that is kind of cool to see, because it gives you more reason to want to go to multiple parks.
To travel. Yeah, to travel outside of the US as well, like big time. Now, I mean, the things happening there are just really awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm always jealous. I mean, Jurassic, being a Jurassic, there's an awesome Jurassic land in, what is it, Beijing, Universal Beijing. I'm like, why can't you do that here? Come on, let's go.
So cool. Avengers Campus is another land in California Adventure that they are going to be expanding. They have like a parking lot that's going to fill in with the expansion here. So there's going to be 2 new rides. There's going to be an Infinity ride where you're going against Thanos, and it seems like it's kind of a multiversal ride, so it's not necessarily the same story from the films. And then there's a Stark Industries ride, which is kind of you getting to play around with some Stark tech that goes wrong or something or other. But I actually haven't been to this land. It's not, you know, it's close, but I haven't been there because I haven't been to this park in a while. So I haven't done like the Spider-Man ride. Like that's the other fairly recent ride. They do have the Guardians of the Galaxy. I've done that. It's amazing. But yeah, I mean, this makes sense. Like, I mean, obviously those films, I mean, maybe not so much in the last few years, but definitely in its heyday, this was like the biggest like franchise like on earth. So I mean, I can see where this would be a draw for a lot of people, especially if you're into Marvel and comics and such.
Heck yeah, I'm so hyped. I love this land. I feel like I'm the only one. A lot of people don't really care for it, but I just think the fact that there's people walking around everywhere is awesome. Like the characters. So to add a King Thanos attraction, multiversal thing where you got tons of, hopefully it's like a Star Tours type thing where you can experience tons of characters in different variations. I don't know if they will do that, like different scenarios, but it looks cool, and I'm glad they're plus in the land.
Definitely.
I haven't been yet. I have not experienced the Avengers campus, but I'm a huge Marvel fan, DC fan too. I grew up on comics, just like toys, so it looks awesome. I love the Thanos stuff, and I remember reading Infinity War in high school, and I think that was the most exciting part of this for me so far is the Thanos stuff and being able to go to the different locales and fight with, Ant-Man and Black Panther and all the whole group in different ways. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I also like the character meet and greets. Like that's something that just in general at Disney I enjoy.
Yeah, definitely. Those are fun. Yeah, so it's Avengers, Infinity Defense, and Stark Flight Lab. So yeah, I mean that'll be fun. I mean, for many years this was also a park that kind of wasn't like a full day park, like it was more like a half day kind of thing, and they've kind of built on that to kind of make it more complete. And I think this will go a long way to doing that. In addition to that, like California Adventure is getting a lot of things, it seems like. So in addition to those items, they've also they've announced that there's going to be a Disney Pixar Coco land, which I think, or not land, but attraction, which I think is really cool. They haven't said where it's going to go, so it's like where are all these where are these rides going to go? But this is pretty cool. I mean, this is obviously a very popular film. It's a great film. I love this one. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be some sort of like a flume type ride with the boats and all, kind of going into the land of the dead and all. So I'm stoked about this one. Rick, what do you think? Is this a film that deserves a ride like this?
I think so. I mean, I think the film is beautiful. I love the music. There's just everything about it. Again, like Haunted Mansion and Galaxy's Edge, like this film is part of my Disney craziness. We watch it a decent amount of times per year now, and I've got some pins that I have of a few of the characters, and so yeah, this would be really exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. Brad, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it kind of looks like they expanded upon the Grand Fiesta Tour in Florida and just like, because that's been rumored to go to that location in the Mexico Pavilion for so many years, but now it's going there instead. So it looks like basically just a bigger, more fun version of that. So I'm down for that.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I can see like how an attraction like this would be very popular, like here in SoCal for sure. Especially, I missed one at Disney World, so I'm going to jump back to that really quick. And this was for Disney Hollywood Studios. So they're going to be opening a Monsters Inc. land. Yeah, this is cool. This is one that I'm especially pumped about seeing in person. I mean, this is a great franchise too. Yeah. Rick, as far as how immersive this land is going to be and what the potential is for coming across other monsters, maybe the characters that they have roaming around, what are your expectations for it?
I mean, as soon as I saw the art, the conceptual stuff, and the guy holding the little monster in the bag on the front like a baby, I'm not lying. Like as soon as I saw it, I'm like, okay, that's awesome. I'm like, little details like that in the conceptual art, and I hope it sees the light of day. But stuff like that would be extremely cool because it is, again, that slightly darker side. It's a humorous darker side, but it's still monsters in some way. So I mean, this is one of those things where if you take creative people and you put them in a room and you're talking about this franchise, there's so many things that you could do with it. It's very dynamic. So yeah, I think this is going to be a nice addition to Hollywood studios. And I think it'll help clear up some of the traffic that happens in Toy Story Land, because I've been, countless times to Toy Story Land, and it's always pretty slammed.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is going to help with that problem.
Yeah.
Right on. Brad?
Yeah. I love this. I love that Harryhausen's is included in both pieces of concept art, so we can get our sushi. But I'm just like worried. I'm very worried again about where it's going. This concept art that you have on the screen here very much shows it in the Muppets courtyard, which would mean demolition of the Muppets attraction, Muppets Vision 3D. So that's kind of upsetting. You can see the Pizza Rizzo restaurant in the background right there, and there's the water tower behind the restaurant, and so it's very much trying to signal that it could be going there. But there's also another piece of concept art that shows it very clearly going into a different section of the park. So I don't know if they're not very sure where it's going right now, or they just wanted to kind of let the fans decide, let's see which gets the most backlash, and then we'll go from there. Because I think all the fans are letting everybody know at Disney that they don't want it in Muppets, courtyard. The animation courtyard is perfectly fine. Just throw it in there. Yeah. I know we're Star Wars fans here, but we don't need Launch Bay. It doesn't add to the value of Star Wars in any way. Just trash that, throw this in there. It's the perfect spot.
I agree completely. Every last word. It's a perfect spot for it. It really is. The animation studio and all of the little tour and Launch Bay, it had its time, but what they've put there since then is leveled up, and this will also level up that space. You take Muppets away and people riot. Right? Yep. We're in light riot mode now. Light riot. It's just, it's a light riot.
Yep.
Right on. All right. So next thing, we're going to come back to the West Coast for a final piece of this news for what is to come. This is a very interesting one. At Disneyland this time, a Walt Disney animatronic is going to be installed for a brand new show in the Main Street Opera House, where currently it's the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. It sounds like a great idea. I'm sure it'll be cool, but is it the right move to put Walt Disney, to turn him into an animatronic and have him speaking to Disneyland guests? What do we think? Brad, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it is definitely a touchy one. There's a lot of talk that he didn't want to be immortalized in some way, whether it was just a statue bust of himself, he kind of dismissed it, didn't want it, or maybe it was just him not wanting to think about dying soon. There's a lot of debate as to what he meant by not wanting to be immortalized in that way. But I don't know. I mean, I think you approach a time where it might be a good time to start putting this out there for people to learn about the parks and the history and stuff like that. I mean, I don't care for the attraction very much, but Hall of Presidents exists, and I don't think they got George Washington's permission, to do that. But I think if you ask most kids today, they don't even know that he's a person, so I think there is value to having him in the park. I'm very excited to see what happens, and I'll be there next year. So I'll be there to help celebrate the 70th with Walt.
Cool. Rick, what do you think?
This is one of those sensitive subjects. I don't think I've read enough, or I'm informed enough of what the family dynamic thoughts on this particular topic. I haven't heard. So I'll tell you this. I think that video is one of the most powerful mediums that we have, and Disney is one of the best at it. So I'm not sure it ever needs to go beyond, but I do understand where an animatronic would come in, of course, to this conversation. I think that's kind of where I'm at on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I personally never thought we'd arrive at the day where this was something they'd announced is actually happening. I really enjoyed the great moments with Mr. Lincoln. I think it's, you know, it's an historical attraction. It's been updated over the years. You know, that animatronic is great, and that's going to continue on a rotational basis after the 70th anniversary. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, from what it sounds like, if I understand it correctly, they have the approval of Roy E. Disney's family. They're on board with it, but I'm not too sure. I haven't heard what like Walt's like his descendants have said. I don't know what their thoughts are on it. I mean, the one thing that I do feel though is, you know, I think, you know, Walt Disney is for me, he's been a very inspirational person for a long time. And I think in today's day and age, there aren't very many people like that are just like, that inspire you and are creative and, you know, do innovative things that bring joy to a lot of people. So in that sense, I feel like immortalizing him in this sort of an aspect beyond, you know, they have the statue of him in the hub of the park, immortalizing him in this way where people can maybe learn about him and kind of pay respect to him in a little more of a proper fashion maybe is the positive side of it, I would say.
Yeah, you know, I went to the 100, what was it? I don't know. There was like the 100-year celebration tour thing, whatever it was, where they had different props and stuff in museums. And it started off with like kind of a hologram version of Walt with, I don't remember if the voice was like old content or AI stuff or whatever, but they like gave Walt some like strange haircut and like he looked weird. So it was a mixed bag of an approach, but hopefully this is done much more better with the likeness and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it's tasteful and it's done well and maybe it's the kind of show where, you know, you feel inspired and you can set off for the rest of your day at Disneyland, just have it in the back of your mind that, you know, this is the man that's responsible for this place, that you're going to have this great, fun, happy day, then, you know, I think that's could be a cool thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I think that does it for the theme park news, unless I missed anything. I think that covers it.
Well, we're not going to talk Fortnite? No, I'm kidding.
Talk what? But I do see that there are some new folks in the chat. So I just want to say hello. TCG Fudo, someone please help me plan a trip to Disneyland. I want to take my girlfriend, but I've never been there before. I mean, it depends on what you're interested in, I guess. There's so much to do, but definitely plan it. Don't just go, because then you're going to miss out on things that you didn't know were there. If you love the history, you want to know about the history, Discoveryland podcast, I would say it might be a way to do that. If it's more like, you know, what's currently available there, you know, I like micechat.com or stuff like that. Yeah, and I see lots of comments on the Walt Disney animatronic here. Geek Strong, how's it going? Thank you for joining us tonight. Hey Greg, how's it going? Brad, don't say the word Star Tours. He can talk about Star Tours. That's okay. I know you're talking about the vehicle that I missed out on, but we'll get to that. So we are going to talk about it eventually. Yeah, that's no biggie. I'm a big girl. I can handle that. Nice. All right, so we're going to go ahead and switch gears here, guys. But before we do that, you know, now that we've been talking about Disney parks, I'm kind of curious. If you could pick your top 5 Disney parks attractions, like what would those be? So I'm going to give you guys just a minute to think about that, because I know it's not an easy question to answer, and I'll ask the same thing in the comments here. What is you guys' favorite Disney thing to do? Maybe not just attraction, but just like Disney experience, whatever you can go to the park and do. There's a lot of things you can do. So I'll give you guys a moment to think about that. And if you guys want to tell us your favorite thing to do here in the comments, feel free to do that. My dog really wants to step out, so I'm going to step out for I'm just going to open the door really quick, so I will be right back. Brad, you're in charge.
Oh, I'm in charge? Okay. Well, maybe should I say my, I don't know. I was thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know if I can come up with a perfect list like right on the fly, but I feel like I've got like just some well-rounded choices that will like feel good in my heart, and kind of like Victoria was saying, just like nice things to do, and just like I don't know, because there's so many good attractions to pick from. Like literally between, because I've only gone to the two coasts. I haven't gone outside the country anywhere to a Disney park. But are yours more focused on like Florida or
It's
California?
definitely Florida. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's so many experiences. I'll name 5. I don't know if they're in order, but I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
definitely name 5 things that like every time I go, I want to experience.
You've talked about Haunted Mansion a few times now, and that to me, that's like easily on my list, like the number one top of
Yeah.
any list ever, no matter what attraction they ever come out with. Haunted
Yes.
Mansion will always just be on the top of the list. It's perfect in every way.
Absolutely. Coming into on the show tonight, my wife is in the other room, and we recently last year started collecting their Hallmark. I have a name for them, but it's the ones that talk to each other. And Haunted
Mm.
Mansion has just blown it out where there's the giant house, and there's like I think
Oh
there's
my god, yeah.
six of them that talk to each other. So they do the more you get more of the ride, and it's all directly rooted right out of the ride and onto our foyer table, which is what they're doing right now. I was getting boxes
Amazing.
out with them before the show. But anyway, Haunted Mansion definitely in the top 5.
We've established that, Victoria. Haunted Mansion easily up there for us.
I can't disagree with that. I would say like that's probably my number 1 is the Haunted
Yeah,
Mansion.
mine
Like,
too.
everything. It just
Yeah.
may not be the newest tech, the most innovative. I don't care. It's my
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah. It's timeless, and yeah, it's awesome. It's so good.
Music makes everything better, and that one just is it's just perfect.
Yeah, perfect blend of
Just a
silly and scary all
yes.
together, you know?
Yeah. I've got a number 2 that's like top of mind that I'll throw out. When we go, and I don't know what year I experienced, maybe it was 2019, but we had never done the Christmas party. And now that we go, traditionally we'll go once a year, and usually during that season, because of it, we don't miss the Christmas party. There's something about Main Street, the castle, the Snope, and that parade that they won't change. And I'm so glad that
Yeah.
they won't change it. That's I think my whole family agrees it's the number one thing that we do. Like I talked to them, hey, this year do we want to skip the Disney Christmas party tickets? And even though the price keeps going up, and I feel like an insane person when I hit buy, and I feel completely insane and out of control.
Yep.
But we can't not do it, and we're doing it again this year. So that's easy on the list for me.
Yeah, that's an awesome one. I haven't been to that party in so long, so I'd like to go back. I will be there in November, so I think they do it during that time, but I don't know if we'll get a chance to go or not.
Nice.
All right, so let me give one. I'm gonna say Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind in Florida. It's like a surprise hit. You know, it's a more recent one, but I just absolutely love that attraction. It is so much fun and so thrilling. I don't know. I know a lot of people hate on it, but like I love it so much. One of the best coasters I've been on. It's a blast. If you haven't gone on it, go on it. I'm like, I don't know if they still do. I think they still do the like the whatever that you got to get in line, and then but we're like doing that. We're also buying the pass. It's like, so I want to get on it as much as possible because you can't wait in line for that one. It's so good.
Nice. Well, then I'll mention one, I guess. So one of my top 5, I would say Radiator Springs Racers. I know I talked about it a little bit earlier, but I love that ride. Like it's just so fun. Like the way it starts off, the indoor, like, well, I mean, it's supposed to be, it is technically indoors, but it's supposed to feel like you're outdoors, and then ends with the big race, which is a completely different experience at night. When you're going on the track with all the mountains lit up and everything. It's just beautiful. I love that.
I haven't gotten a chance to do it at night. Maybe next time. Oh, that would be awesome. Man.
Yeah.
I would throw out, as far as rides go, I still love Big Thunder. We always do that, at least first or second thing we do when we go. I don't know, it just feels classic to me.
It's, if you sit in that at like nighttime in like the first row, like right behind the train, it's maybe the craziest ride you've ever gone on in your life. It's so much fun. I'm gonna go just like classic here. I just love the People Mover. It's just one of the best things you could ever do. Is just ride around Tomorrowland, just calmly listening to the Tomorrowland music and riding above some attractions, going through Space Mountain. You can't really beat that.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm so disappointed that people removed that from Disneyland. Like,
might make a comeback. Might.
They've been saying that for the last 20 years. We'll see. Rick, you got another one?
Yeah, I mean, if we can go outside of the theme park into a restaurant, both breakfast and dinner, we love Ohana's, and we did breakfast last year, and I hadn't done breakfast before, but you get Lilo and Stitch, and it was a lot of fun. They were going the whole time with the characters and stuff, and the breakfast is good. So I would go Ohana's. There's a lot of little things you can do there. You can also have drinks, and sometimes there's live music, and just it's a good vibe. I love the vibe there. I'm more as resort wise. I'm not as big Polynesian as I am Grand Floridian. I think the Grand Floridian is just beautiful, and I just love the vibe there too. But I would say Ohana restaurant wise, we enjoy that.
Yeah,
every year.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll give another one. Carousel Progress. Another classic. I just love these classic attractions. Like, I know there's better technology out there, animatronic wise, but like, there's just something about it. They upgraded the seats recently, so that should make it a more comfortable experience. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I love that. I can't go to Disney World without doing that one every time.
Nice. I'm going to go out of the U.S. for this one, with it in mind that I haven't been to all the Disney parks, and that's one of my bucket list goals, is to go to every single Disney park. But at Tokyo Disney Sea, Journey to the Center of the Earth, it's a fantastic ride. It's not rooted in any franchise. It's just its own thing, which I really, really like. But it still manages to be like this very immersive, very fun experience. So like yeah, it's good.
Well, my last one would be Rise of the Resistance. I mean, I can't not, it's awesome every time I've done it. Fortunately, I have never been in when it broke down or anything weird or, crazy. So I've had good experiences. And even whenever it opened, I was able to get in pretty easily. So I don't want to jinx myself. You never know. But, it's just, can I nitpick it because I'm a Star Wars fan and I'm a nitpicker sometimes? Absolutely. Could I, talk about how to improve it? That's its own show. But it's a really cool next level attraction. And I'm glad that, we got that on this coast.
Yeah, it's fun.
Victoria, I'm going to mention one that we forgot to talk about during the news portion. And a big deal that we missed it. I can't believe I forgot to talk about this. I'm going to say Dinosaur. Shout out to Dinosaur for existing and for being one of my favorite rides of all time. It's the best Jurassic Park ride there is. That's not even Jurassic Park. And it's scary. It's funny, with the video and this seeker talking over the ride. It's one of my most favorite attractions of all time. I'm so incredibly sad that Indiana Jones is replacing it in Animal Kingdom. It's like a very conflicting feeling because Indiana Jones is my favorite character of all time. I've got Indy merch literally right here behind me. And it's, I love Indiana Jones, but I'm just sad to see Dinosaur go.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Rick, you got another one? I've lost count. I don't know how many we've gotten to. So.
Yeah, I mean,
that was 5.
yeah, I think I got all 5. The last thing I would say, if you haven't gone or you've just watched videos, Galaxy's Edge is just a really cool experience. I didn't really get into like any of the food, but that's also part of the experience. And we live and die by Rano wraps. Not the breakfast one as much as just the regular one, but and my family's not crazy about the green or blue milk, but I myself, every time we go, I get a blue milk in the morning, and in the afternoon before the cantina, I get another blue milk, and then do the cantina. So I would say just Galaxy's Edge in general. There's even though like once you've gone, we've gone probably 5 times. I'd say like, once you've done a few things, it's not quite as crazy inspiring. The look of the land is, but it's one of those things, just like all the other parks, that you do have to update, having updates, whether it's a cantina menu item or a drink, having those little updates each time you go is super important. Like we talked about the the Mando Grogu addition to that ride. Things like that are going to be really important for people that go more than once or twice in a lifetime,
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I do like the breakfast there at Rano Roaster.
They got a nice coffee in that land, somewhere around there. It's like an iced coffee with like Cocoa Puffs on top and like all kinds of stuff in there. It's like amazing. It's so good.
I'll have to try that this next time. Then.
Yeah, definitely.
I've seen it, but I don't know the name of it, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
I forget. About.
Yeah, but no, Galaxy's Edge is fun. Definitely imperfect, but fun, and it's hard to avoid the merchandise there. That's what always calls to me when I go in there. There's always a lightsaber or a droid or something that I want to bring home.
Absolutely.
So they figured that part of it out.
Whenever you post that you've bought a droid, I look at my droids on the floor and I'm like, yep, she understands. She gets it.
Nice. I think I mentioned 3. I'm gonna round these out. So Enchanted Tiki Room would be something that I would put as a top 5 experience for me. I just love it. I love having like I don't get it very often, but the Dole Whip float with the pineapple juice, like just sitting in there on a hot day and having that. And then the Mark Twain Riverboat. I just love going on that ride. It's not the most exciting thing, but it's just a peaceful, with the music that they have, the soundtrack playing. It's just very calming, nice thing to do. So yeah. And I see a few comments here on what other folks like doing. So thank you guys for sharing yours as well. Definitely fun.
Alien encounter. Yeah.
To see. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and switch topics here. All right. So there were some teaser trailers. There was one for Andor and one for The Mandalorian Grogu that were kind of, a mix of behind the scenes and just information on, when they're coming out, what to expect. So there wasn't really a whole lot shown, like in either one, like nothing that was definitely like really spoiler, I would say. But it was neat to see them. And the only way you could see them was because people, filmed them at the event and then posted them online, and then they got taken down, and then somebody else posted them and they got taken down. And but yeah, the one that was shown that we did get to see was the Skeleton Crew trailer, which is coming out on December the 3rd. It's the next big Star Wars Disney Plus series. And Brad, I was thinking about when I thought about having you on this episode. I remember you one time posted on Twitter, or maybe you retweeted it. I unfortunately I never forget anything. Like I remember everything. But you posted something. I think the exact words were the the best genre is kids on bikes.
Yes, I did post something like that, didn't I?
Yeah.
I remember.
So
Yeah.
I thought, hey, this kind of is supposed to be similar to that, but set in Star Wars. So I think Brad would be a good person to talk about
Wow.
Skeleton Crew with.
You did mention that. I was like, oh, I'm glad I'm a good person to talk about this with. And yeah, that's exactly true. Kids on bikes. That is 100% what this is. It's E.T., it's Goonies, it's, you know, I don't know. It's all over the place, but it's very interesting. I'm sure we'll get into it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was excited to see this. You know, the live action Disney Plus, it's in terms of reception, it's been kind of all over the place. You know, and obviously there's people out there that are just horrible. But I don't know. I just like, this is exciting. It's something like that genuinely different. It sounds like maybe it'll be like an access point for maybe a younger audience as well that can come into Star Wars. And it's just doing something that seems like it's going to be very different from what we've seen before. So I think that's kind of what's exciting me about this. And also the fact that it comes out in December. It's going to be great to have like some Star Wars again during the holiday season, which I think has been missing for a long time. I assume both of you did see the trailer.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I'm skimming through it now, and I noticed a shot that I didn't really notice before, and it was like, I don't know where it is. I just lost it, but it was like kids staring down like a tunnel, and it looked exactly like the one from E.T. when they were like trying to save E.T. There's those like connected tunnels to the house. It's too cool.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's trying to pick up on that like 80s kind of adventure vibe that a lot of those films had. And there's several things in there that kind of pinpoint that as probably being intentional. Mm-hmm. Rick, what were your initial thoughts when you saw this trailer? What was your reaction?
Oh yeah. So this is that topic or that thing that they dropped that made me feel things that I wish I felt more often. And that is, I know a lot of people and even the creators had, compared it to Goonies even before I saw the trailer. But I would like to just go back further than Goonies. And like, I feel like as kids, and I think this is important for the marketing and the future of the brand. I'll say that now and come back to that at the end. We all, get together with our friends and, whether we're on a school bus or whether we're maybe having a sleepover and looking up at the ceiling at posters or just something on the walls, and you're riding bikes together, and maybe you're going to a baseball game or you're going to the pool or wherever you're going during the summer, doing those things. I feel like we've all been there, and I think that's super important that even though we haven't seen those types of images in Star Wars to this degree that the trailer starts to show us, I think it's important to draw new people in, especially kids. And so when I saw the trailer, this was the second time in the last year or so that I got this feeling of just being a kid again. When they're in the classroom and you hear the teacher say, this test will determine the future of everything, those moments when you're a kid and you are in the back of the school bus with your friends and you're in a classroom and you're doing something that, maybe some of the students take it seriously and some don't, but you're in that classroom with all your friends. But and once you go home and maybe you're not on the phone or you're not playing with them, you're alone and you're reading and you're looking at a book, all those things are everyday things. But when you take that and you mix it with the idea that they're real legends, or, maybe we don't know if they're real, but they're legends of Jedi and this battle with the Empire and all these grandiose things that you can't really get to outside of a book or a classroom teaching. When you start showing me those images and how there's a gateway from that world, which is mimicking our world, and we can get to Star Wars, and they do that in this trailer. They do a really good job of through music, through sound and imagery, getting you from that place that mimics ours to this world of Star Wars and some of the pirates that we might have seen in Mando, and some of the action and the idea that there might be a Jedi, or is there? We don't know. This trailer was well put together. Every last note of music in this trailer is perfection. And I said that I want to do it before I forget. There's one other thing that I thought before this. I think I'd sent a post to Victoria after she posted something about it. I was telling her, like, I've experienced this feeling twice, this trailer. So I'm super excited to see the show in December. But the other thing that I thought was a really cool thing that they did with kids, or a kid, was in Ahsoka. My favorite moment from the entire show is when Jason Syndulla and Chopper are looking out over the waves trying to figure out where Ahsoka vanished to. And they're trying to get Hera's attention, and Hera's dealing with the world, politicians and the New Republic need an answer, and Carson Teva needs to report back to them. That also is mimicking our world. And maybe I'm bringing a deeper thought to it than most, but what I like about that is, if you're a parent, or you've got a cousin, or you've been around just children in school or wherever it is, children are always trying to get your attention. And sometimes, if you're really busy, it's hard to balance everything. But in this particular time, what I brought to this is when Jason's trying to get her attention so that you can calm yourself and put all those other things away, the crazy world, put it all aside. And if you listen, lightsabers or Star Wars is still there in its innocence, in that world that's a galaxy far, far away. If you stop and put all those things aside from social media, all of the things, it's still there in its most innocent form. So that feeling that I got from watching that, also Filoni picked that one moment to play the Force theme. And it was the most perfect moment and beautiful moment to bring in what I think is the most important notes in Star Wars. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of bring that into this conversation, because all of that, for me, using those devices and bringing kids into it in a bigger way and a larger role, it's super important. I've got an 11-year-old son, and I watched him. After I watched this at least 5 times, I brought him in to get his reaction. And he just looked at me after, and he said, "Oh my God, I'm going to be really into this. They're like my age." And I'm like, exactly. Anyway, I know that was a long-winded answer, but this one really gave me the feels. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it's very well said.
Clip it, post it. That was incredible. Who can top that? That was amazing.
Yeah, I think the marketing of these things, whether it's an animated show like Rebels or Bad Batch, or a new show like this, I think the marketing of it and the trailers and just how you roll it out is just so important these days, because you've got an entire league of people who now can be paid to be negative. So I think when you're doing it with a brand that's this important, I know I feel better knowing that Filoni is in charge of the content now, even though there were a few things already kind of in the chamber when he got promoted that will be rolling out, I do feel, it makes me feel better, because I feel like he would go down with the ship to make sure that things are rolled out properly. He will do his best. And he's in the machine. We know that. He's lived in it for 20 years. And what I've gotten in the 20 years, I feel really good about from him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very excited. I want to go out on a limb and say I think this is probably going to be I don't know. It's just a gut feeling. Maybe I'll be completely wrong, but I feel like this is going to be the biggest Star Wars Disney Plus project since The Mandalorian. But we'll see.
Fingers crossed.
I really hope so. I mean, you mentioned it before, but just having some Star Wars back at Christmas time feels right. feels like we've been missing that for a little while. This is perfect. Even though it, to me, like the trailer, it doesn't like fully speak Star Wars visually. And I think that's okay because there's so many different worlds and so many different planets to go to out there that aren't exactly like Coruscant or Tatooine or something like that. So it's good to finally spread out and go to somewhere different where they've got different problems. They're dealing with their own things, but then to kind of weave the story into the canon, I think would be nice, you know, and like you're saying, bring the kids in, because so much of this content is really difficult to bring kids into these days. Because I sit there and I'll watch like Ahsoka or anything with my kids, and I'll be like, okay, so what you got to know is you got to know that this character and that character, and that's so Jason Syndulla, his dad's dead, and like all this stuff. You got to like really dive into so many thoughts and theories and try to catch them up. That a show like this is really exciting because it's gonna, like you said, capture their attention. It's gonna feel like them, and yeah, that was exactly the kind of stories with the Goonies, with like E.T., stuff like that, where you could feel like this could happen to you, where you could go out into the woods and meet, you know, an alien or go uncover a treasure on your own, riding your bike. Like, I think whatever they're doing in this, I don't know, but if there is some sort of treasure involved, if they are kind of going hardcore into that like trope, it feels like they are, because there's so many of those like iconic imagery things. There's even like a one-eyed looking, you know, droid in there, kind of like resembling like a pirate, one-eyed undercover in the spider webs and stuff. And we did see a lot of the pirate costumes and stuff at D23. And yeah, I guess they do seem to be the ones from Mandalorian. So it'll be interesting to see if there is crossover there. And I mentioned earlier about Smuggler's Run and Hondo. Maybe there's a way that they could bring Hondo into this. I was waiting for Hondo in Mandalorian. He still hasn't shown up. I just can't believe all these years later, they still haven't brought him into live action in any way. Yeah. This could be a great place to do that with pirates, with stuff. And I think Hondo is always the guy that gets stuck with a bunch of kids. You know, he always does. Every project he's in. So this would be perfect for him to kind of guide them at some part of the story and then tie that into the attraction. And it would be nice to kind of like slowly work our way into the canon, but not have it be like hard canon that you really need to understand everything. I think that makes it fun for the kids.
Totally. Yeah, no, I agree. That's a good point though, that this could be a good time to bring in Hondo. I think you're right. That is a great opportunity to bring him in.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked. I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm really excited. All right, so next thing I want to bring up here, I'm gonna show something real quick that I posted the other day on my Instagram that ties into Skeleton Crew, because it just seems like is Captain EO now going to be canon in the Star Wars universe? I mean, it's just kind of self-evident. Like Fuzzball, you know, who was kind of his little buddy in the film, is 100% seen in this brief moment in the trailer. He's got the wings, he's got the long ratty tail. It's definitely Fuzzball. He even makes the same exact sound, right? If that weren't enough, people had already been talking about this one. Is Neil, this little blue alien, is he the same species as Max Rebo, or is he the same species as a Hooter from Captain EO? I don't know. They both look kind of similar, but then there's more. Because then we talk about these robots. Brad, you're talking about this robot here with the one eye. Well, he's also got a peg leg, just like the robot in Captain EO, who kind of looks somewhat similar. Like apart from that, like just some of the design choices, like for the head and the body, I see some other similarities. So it's like, are they finally is you know, because George Lucas worked on Captain EO? Is this the tie-in? Was it really part of Star Wars all along, and we just didn't know it until, you know, all these years later?
I love it. Yeah, I didn't realize he had a peg leg. That's super cool. That's awesome. Man, I hope so. I hope there's like even more references. That would be very, very cool. And I didn't notice it right away because it's been a few years since I watched Captain EO, but yeah, that was so awesome to see that little fuzzball there.
Now I know that Phil Tippett came back for this series. Did Phil Tippett work on that other project? I'm not sure, but if he did, there's your answer, like definitively.
It's a good question, but I think it does go back to what we were saying earlier about how there's so many 80s vibes from Skeleton Crew from that trailer, and they definitely seem to be pulling from that era from different sources, and I mean this is obviously one. But yeah, I mean I love seeing it. I mean Captain EO was fun. It's very 80s if you watch it now, of course. But it did have like that fun, like sci-fi sort of thing. It tried to be, it's kind of original thing, which it did feel a little like Star Wars. So, I mean, if it was part of that universe all along, like I'm cool with that. I really am.
There would be like, I don't know. They always like uncover like a grave of somebody. There's some treasure in there. That would be so crazy if it was like Captain EO. So morbid, but like that would be crazy if there was other ties to it. I doubt it, but you can't help but wonder.
Yeah. I think Captain EO should come back. I mean, I know Michael Jackson is gone, but I always felt it could be one of those things like where you have a different actor portraying him, but supposed to be the same exact Captain EO, but maybe he's evolved or he's changed, for whatever reason.
Could be like the Doctor Who of the Star Wars universe.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You could totally do it.
I'm down.
Yeah. So, what if Captain EO had a lightsaber? Is being asked here. It would be rainbow because that's what he had on his shirt, right? He had the rainbow shirt. Yeah. He was all about spreading peace and love through music and overcoming the evil of that world. So I'm all for that. Let's do that here too on Earth.
Let's go.
All right. Let's go ahead and change gears here once again, because we have a few thoughts to share about the D23 exclusives rollout that we were talking about last week. And, I know everybody that's tuning in has seen my excitement the last few weeks at the announcement of this brand new Star Speeder 3000 that Disney was going to be releasing as an exclusive at D23 and then subsequently online, which they did, and which I did not get because it was just a very confusing and challenging process. I really wanted this vehicle. I really, 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 really wanted it. I made it very clear in previous episodes of Social Hour that I really wanted it. And it just didn't pan out. So basically what they did, they announced that the exclusives would be online. They had a queue that started at Pacific time. It was at 7:30, and then the exclusives were going to go on at 8 o'clock. And I jumped on like right away. I jumped on at 7:30 when that queue opened. And I had 3 devices going. I had 2 computers. I had my phone. And the only one that got into the exclusives portal by 8:05 was one of the computers. The queue showed that I was like 40,000 in line, and another one showed I was like 23,000 in line. Another one showed 16,000, and I think it was the one that said 23 or 24,000 that I was actually able to get into the queue. So I really do think it wasn't accurate. I think it was randomized. But I got in at 8:05, 5 minutes after it began, and this was already sold out at that point. I know some people said that after 8:05, they were able to get it because they kept refreshing the page, and every now and then it would show that you could add it to cart. And some people said they were able to check out that way. Some weren't. But from what I found out afterward, there were only 500 of these that got put online. And if you really, truly do have, 20, 30,000 people queuing up to buy 500 of one item, well, it's like, yeah, of course it's going to sell out in seconds. And that seems to have been the case here because there was a limited edition of 3,000 on these. But not only this, other items that were part of this release, exclusives, like some pins, non-Star Wars pins, but other items went out of stock really quickly as well. But this is the one thing that was just like everybody wanted, right? And it was unavailable. I was able to check out some of the other exclusives that I wanted, the Star Wars ones, including the Kylo Ren helmet. But then a couple of days later, the next day or a couple of days later, they sent me an email saying, "Oh, just kidding, Victoria. We actually didn't have any when you checked out, so now you're not getting it." So, just not a very good experience. Very frustrating for myself personally, and many others, because this is obviously something that this item in particular, the Star Speeder, has just spoken to a lot of people in the lead up to its release, and it's a great item. But there's obviously a lot of nostalgia here with this, and a lot of people really wanted it. And now the price was $300. Now it's selling on eBay. If you look at completed listings, over $1,000, $1,200, $1,100. It's just nuts. So this rollout was not ideal. So I guess I kind of want to get you guys' thoughts on, how they could do this better next time. How can they roll out these types of exclusives and, maybe give more people a chance to get in on the items that they really want? Rick, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts?
Well, I've got my own saga. It's slightly different from yours, but I'll start with that, and then I'll tell you what I think about the rollout. So my saga was, my strategy was going to be late Saturday night to see where they were, and if I could find one under 500, I was in on it. So I did that, and I managed to get one for under 5. And then my goal was on Monday to get another one and to sell it to help pay for the other one, so I break even and maybe spend 300, which is what I would have spent if I was at D23. That was my strategy. I thought it out. I hadn't had a whole lot of luck with the super limited items at the Disney store. So anyway, Monday rolls around, and that auction went through, and everything looked good. Monday rolled around, and I was on maybe 20 minutes before time, because I didn't know that the store or the website itself turned into a waiting room of sorts. So I got there, and like you, my computer said I was 40,000 in line, and I was like, "Wow, that's unfortunate." Because in my head, I figured they were going to put up. I'd imagined 800 was kind of like the number in my head that store would get. So anyway, it took me, I want to say 22 minutes to get in the room. And when I got in, I clicked it because it didn't say sold out. I clicked it, nothing happened. I clicked it again, and it thought I was a bot. It took me 4 minutes to somehow go back, and that I got another chance. And this time it said sold out, and the little red message kind of flows up to the top and tells you it's sold out.
Yeah.
And since then, so it was supposed to be here. This is my saga. It was supposed to be here on Wednesday. Thursday would have been the latest. And I paid priority shipping for this large 3-foot box. I'm assuming the box is going to be 3 feet if the item is 2 feet or whatever. And it got within 45 minutes of my house, and that was Wednesday night at 10:55 p.m. And they have no idea where it is right now.
No.
Oh, wow.
Now we've had a few missent items recently, and I'm hoping it just works itself out. I launched my USPS investigation today. But that's my saga currently, is still hoping that somehow this ends up in my hand, even with this insane value attached to it right now. But anyway, so the rollout, like you said, not ideal. Something like this, and first of all, the fact that it's not a HasLab and Disney parks kind of put this on us. What felt like, was there a week's heads up? It was a short period of time heads up that we got more info. It looked outstanding as soon as they started talking about it a little bit more and showing like just a quick video. Mm-hmm. And I knew I was all in on it. Not only was it Disney parks related, but it's a really well done vehicle. The base looks cool, the electronics look cool. The fact that there's a movie that plays on the ride and seatbelts and all the things. I mean, this speaks to people like me. And I think that was part of the problem is the numbers don't really compute when you think of both Disney park fans as well as Star Wars vehicle fans. That number should always be, I don't care what if you're making this and showing this and marketing this, and even if it's an exclusive, that number doesn't compute as far as those two categories relate to our Earth. What number might be good? I guess that's debatable. FOMO has become a major factor when it comes to high-end, I'll say HasLab type premium treatment vehicles for that vintage collection, old school, Star Wars style. It's just one of those things now. And I think there was a lot of that happening here, and you have to allow for scalpers. It's just the world that we live in. So when you take all that into consideration, I would have never done, I know I would have had a hard time in any meeting where we're talking about this and we're talking about what would the numbers be. I would have a hard time putting anything less than maybe 8,000 or 10,000 as the bottom line for this. Even if you look at something like Micro Galaxy, if you look at that and the idea that a chase is like 15 and a rare is like 5, you're talking about those things, they're pretty limited. And some of those are starting to get up there when it comes to the 5,000, the rare ones and stuff like that. So I don't know if it's just because they didn't take a look at the big picture, or they were so set that they could be ironic that it's the 3,000 speeder and we can do 3,000 of them. Sometimes those clever ideas don't really include logic.
Yeah.
Right? It's all clever and no logic. Every one of us is sat in a meeting at some point and had to deal with that. So anyway, it could be done a lot better. The one thing I will say about the vehicle itself, outside of all the things I said, was the fact that there is that bagged figure of Rex inside, as well as not just a carded version of him, but a numbered carded version of him. That is kind of like, that's the highlight that I would want to really put a spotlight on for the industry. It's been low-hanging fruit for a long time, and we all talk about it. But
yeah, we're going to go into depth on that in just a second here. But you were smart. You got it early. I hope it works out and it's not lost. I've had that happen to me before with USPS, and things still show up on occasion, and sometimes they are genuinely lost. But I hope yours isn't lost. I hope it still shows up.
I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, definitely keep me posted. Brad, were you trying for any of these exclusives, or were you watching how this was unfolding on Monday?
No, I was mostly hearing it from you in the chat, but my saga with this is I was like, oh my God, this is incredible, amazing. I need this. And then I saw the price and I was like, all right, I'm out. That was it. That was the end of my story. Because I mean, I love this thing. It's so incredible, like you said. And the fact that it plays the video is so cool. But I think, Disney parks always has an issue with scalpers and exclusive items and things like that. You can see the people walking out of their parks with bags upon bags upon bags. And so Disney's really poor when it comes to controlling scalpers and things like that. So I'm not surprised if that's the case here, if nobody really got one, I don't know. I mean, I think you outlined it perfectly. More product would be great. Let us pre-order it or do something, whatever. Anything's better than this, because that's pretty bad. I feel so bad for everybody that actually, decided, hey, I'm going to get one. That's always terrible when you decide you're going to spend the money and then it doesn't pan out for you. And I guess you got $300, but
sure.
but it stinks.
Yeah. As soon as they sold out, like I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go to eBay. I'm just gonna do it because I had a feeling the prices were just gonna keep going up.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I was able to get one for before taxes and all that. It was like 500, which it's kind of a lot, already. But I was like, whatever. I really wanted it. That's how it goes sometimes in this hobby. So I did. I popped down the extra cash and I ordered one. And then I saw later that day it was like selling for 700, then it was going up to 800, and it was just, so I was like, okay, I'm glad I pulled the trigger when I did. The next day I got a message on eBay from the seller saying that that they had undercharged me in shipping and that they were going to have to cancel my order. And I was like, no, don't do that. I responded. I said, don't do that. I'll pay the difference, whatever it comes out to, I'll do that. And I also offered the option. I said, I have a friend that lives next to you. He's willing to go pick it up for me, local pickup. But the seller didn't respond. They did not respond at all. The next thing
Wow.
that I knew, I got an email from eBay saying your transaction has been canceled. And this is at the point where they're already pushing $900 on eBay.
Thanks.
So it really broke my heart. And yeah, I did leave that seller negative feedback.
Yes.
Which they deserve. They totally deserve
As
it.
you should.
Because
Yes.
it was very obvious. They were just they saw this prices going up and they just wanted to turn a bigger profit on it.
Yeah.
So it's the first time I've ever left negative feedback on an eBay listing, but in 20 years, but hey, it is what it is, I guess. Yeah. So the latest on this for me on this saga is that I have it sounds like I'm going to be able to get one possibly from somebody on Instagram. But it hasn't 100% happened quite yet. So I'm kind of waiting and seeing. So if it works out, that'll be amazing.
Yeah.
And I'll update everybody next week on that. But hopefully that does happen. Because it's hard to imagine living in a world without having this in my collection. I talked about it at length the last couple episodes. It's something I really want. It would be like a grail kind of thing for me.
Yeah.
The Kylo Ren helmet, though, I had a friend that was at Disneyland today, and he told me that he saw them there at Disneyland, even though it was a D23 item, right? So, so at least that's hitting the parks. Will this hit the parks? I don't know. But at the end of the day, they need to make more of these because 3,000 is just stupid. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then 500 only online. Come on. That's just.
Yeah.
And it does sound like this will be released next year, but from the little tidbits of information I've been able to piece together, it's not going to be this exact version. It's going to be the Star Speeder 1000, which is the one that you ride currently. And it's not going to have the electronics, and it's not going to have all the bells and whistles. It's going to be a more kind of a dumbed down version of this, which I would still pick up, but it's not going to be this Grail version, which everybody wants. So I got fingers crossed. I'm really just hoping that this works out because, I was really devastated earlier this week with all the way this played out. So.
This was a oddity too, right? It kind of came out of nowhere. I felt like. I mean, we've seen them before, smaller versions with less stuff, but it just felt like I can't compare this to anything else that they've done. Disney parks for the Disney Store exclusives or D23 exclusives like this. This just felt odd, and parts of it, like I said, the loose figure, carded figure thing. Parts of it are good, but. So much drama around this thing.
Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit more. So this, you mentioned, Rick, earlier that with this particular release that there is a carded figure which has a numerical designation. It's numbered 1 to 3,000. Which is unique. That's not something that typically happens. HasLabs definitely don't have that. We know that there's maybe 14,000 cantinas out there, however many it is.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what figure you're getting. I mean, they're not numbered like that.
Exactly.
This item, however, does have, this figure does have, it tells you what number it is exactly. And it also includes a loose figure. So if you're one of those people like me who you like to have, when it comes to like the vintage collection, at least, I mean, I rarely buy things to keep in package, but with TVC, with the figures specifically, I do that. So I was beyond, my interest was peaked, and the wheels started turning. I know I posted about this on Instagram the other day. But I started thinking, well, like, if Disney can do this with a small edition size like 3000, like how come HasLab can't do that for the HasLab projects? And I know that, like, with this, there's no licensing fee, so I think that's a big part of it. Hasbro's paying a big chunk of licensing on this, and that's part of why they have to sell things a little more expensive than Disney has to. But at the same time, they've R&D'd and designed and put into production this very limited item, only 3000, that has electronics, that has a display stand, and also has the figure and has a loose sample as well of that same figure. Like, why is it that, you know, those variables aside, that this isn't something feasible for Hasbro to do? And I have asked them, is there any way? And, you know, we can go back to my Q&A videos with them and see. They've always said, like, you know, that's not something we have any plans for. But why not? It's obviously something that they can do here at Disney. And it's something that is very consumer friendly, because this is something people really, really want and have been asking for years with HasLab. Why is it that they can't do it here with HasLab? Why can Disney do it but not Hasbro?
Well, I think especially too, specifically to the vintage collection customer, as the hobby, the big part of the hobby is a lot of people collect those because they look like the ones that, like, for me, they look like the one, that Princess Leia recently that came out, and that whole wave in general might be the greatest wave from vintage collection ever for me. When I picked first of all, Princess Leia is a knockout figure, and it's just next level. But as far as the card art and the placement of all the intricate details with logos and all those things, it's beautiful. And you're going to want to put it behind a little star case or a case of some sort. Some people put it on their walls. But it's a beautiful specimen, and it's a big part of the vintage collection hobby. That's how we collect. And like you said, from a consumer point of view, it's something that a lot of us do. I don't know if it's the majority, but it feels like the majority. I'm sure there are some figures that I didn't buy two of way back in the day, but nowadays I think I buy one of each every time. And trying to find a mint one, well, you know how that goes. But they managed to do it here. And I remember, I think I've seen the interviews where you've asked them, Victoria, and I think I've seen other people kind of get to that topic as well. But I think we need to keep asking, because it's possible here. And we've been buying the vintage collection market. If you've been keeping track, we're 4 for 4 with the HasLabs. They've been making a lot of money off of us for a number of years, my entire life. So it feels like just the right thing to do from, like you said, a consumer, just a touch point from working with us and us getting to that level now where they hear us. And we know they do, because some of the other things are starting to see fruition. And I feel like this might have been the lowest hanging fruit ever, but there's something, and I understand they want to make as much money. They want you to buy 2 of the $400 items or 2 of the $500 items. Yeah. I get that. But at this point, it's specifically vintage collection. I feel like that's the one where they should at least start doing it there, so that the rest of the industry kind of sees that that's an example that they've made for that specific collector. It would speak volumes.
Yeah, definitely. Brad, do you have any thoughts on that? Should HasLab also find a way to offer extra figures?
I mean, yeah, obviously. I don't participate in those pretty much ever. So I leave that to you two. But yeah, why not? I mean, just throw them in there, please. Like, because I'm not much of like a in package person, but I know so many people are, and I think to be able to display it with the characters that you paid for, would be nice. Yeah, and since I'm just gonna stay with my DJ Rex,
I love it.
That's all I'm gonna have. I'm not gonna have any of these.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, Disney doesn't have to contend with the exorbitant licensing fees that Hasbro does. They have to pay, Disney for making their products, right? Disney making these directly doesn't have to do that. But at the same time, like HasLab already costs, hundreds of dollars, Cantina 400 or 500, depending on the version you went with. The Razor Crest was like 300. Sail Barge was 500. The Ghost was like 400. So, I mean, you're already paying that much. I don't think that people would be upset at paying, another $20-$25 to get an extra figure in there that's loose, because what happens is a lot of people end up buying extra sets just to get an extra figure, and then they sell off the other vehicle, or they hang on to it, or whatever, or the other item, or like me, I'll usually jump to eBay and just try and get an extra set of the figures, which isn't cheap either. So I mean, I know that they probably think they're going to sell less HasLabs. And I'm sure that's true to an extent. I don't know how high the percentages of people that are buying multiple HasLab products just to get a set of carded figures. I wouldn't imagine that it's a high percentage. So yeah, they would probably theoretically lose those extra sales. But I think you can make up for that by changing the edition size. Maybe instead of having the back 8,000, like it's a 10,000, backer requirement in order to get put into production. Or like I said, you raise the price of each unit by $25 so that, you can accommodate that extra figure in that set. I don't know. I would love that. I think it's definitely doable. And I think this is evidence here that it's doable despite the differences in variables. But yeah, I think the community will just need to keep pushing this on Hasbro before it happens. Is they're not going to just like decide, oh, let's do that. I think if enough people are vocal about it and bother them with it, I think that'll be the best opportunity for possibility of change to happen.
Well, and you gave them two ideas just then, so you're kind of meeting them halfway with here. This is another solution as well, but make this happen. This is what we want. I like when people offer them ideas during the interviews and things like that. That is the best approach to me.
Yeah. Stephen mentioned something here about that HasLab should be numbered based on when you backed. Yeah, I mean, I like that. I think in theory, I do like that, but I feel like as far as is it feasible to do that? I don't think so. I think that would just make it really complicated.
From the back end, like shipping that stuff out would be crazy.
Yeah, and if they send you the wrong one, it's like, oh, now so-and-so has yours, I think it would just, I think it'd be a little too logistically challenging. But
I mistakenly got number 1. I'm not giving it to you. No.
Yeah. Yeah, the figure's numbered though. I mean, they could do that too. I mean, that's easy enough, right? I mean, they never tell us what the edition size is with HasLabs though. It's if it gets 27,000 backers and let's say 27,516, they're probably not going to number it like number 13,501 out of 26,000, whatever I just said, right? It's I mean, I can see why they might not want to do that, but maybe if they rounded, right? Like if they said it has to get 10,000 backers, but then it gets 10,500 backers, they round to 11,000, and then they just have extras. Like maybe they could do that. I don't know.
Like number the first 100.
Yeah. When you said that, it made me think when we're talking about the back end of numbering these, I'm hoping that wasn't one of the considerations where they landed on the 3,000 is because that Rex is numbered like that. I've noticed in the collecting world when I've gotten something that's got a number on it, the last time was when I was doing the premium format sideshow statues, and the artisan would just put in a marker on the bottom of the statue. I think they put a sticker on the box, something that wasn't part of the print. Want to say it was a sticker, but on the bottom, usually with a marker of some sort, they would have like a number, and there was always a low number associated with it when they were doing that. So as soon as you said on the back end of it, I'm like, that could have been one of the reasons. I don't know.
Yeah, that's, who knows? They'll never tell us exactly. But yeah, it's interesting to think about and speculate. And yeah, and I do, before I forget, I do want to give a shout out here. This screen grab is actually from a video that was put together by a YouTuber by the name of, let's see, I know I wrote their name down here somewhere. Toy Binging on YouTube. That's his video where the screen grab came from. And it was just perfect because he was one of the few that like actually had it right next to the actual carded figure and the loose figure.
Victoria, did we know going into when they were listing the details for the vehicle, was that part of the details, or did we find out for the first time? I know I found out for the first time, not reading it anywhere, but seeing an unboxing video, and I rewound it and got up next to the screen. I'm like, wait, what? So I didn't know if everybody saw it for the first time like that, or if they actually told people that there would be a loose version of Rex in there.
Yeah, I as far as I didn't know that it had it until I started watching these videos, and I was like, oh shoot, like I had no idea they had. I don't think the website even said anything about that.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
Yeah, so yeah. From what I heard, there were a bunch of them at D23 that didn't sell. So I don't know if those are going to end up at the parks eventually as well, like the Kylo Ren helmet has. I mean, maybe, but you know, you'd have to be one of the lucky few people to be there to actually come up on it. So I don't know. Either way, this was a very frustrating week for collecting for this stuff.
It's still like I've had a pit in my stomach all day about the package and just the saga. I knew we'd be talking about it. And I'm like, well, we'll be past this soon. This too shall pass, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot else to say about this. But yeah, I just hope my Star Speeder pans out. Because yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do if it doesn't. I ain't gonna pay $1,200 though. That'd be ridiculous. The current going price. That's just nuts.
I can't believe it. Honestly, it blew me away when I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we will see. We will see. I'll keep everybody updated, and you keep us updated too, Rick, on what happens. Yeah, but Disney needs to do better. So, you know, I'll just end with that. Disney needs to do better. Something like this, 3,000 is too small. You know, I mean, even doubling it sounds kind of small, right? To 6,000. So I don't know what the solution is exactly. The only thing last thing I could really say is that maybe instead of doing it this way, you just do an open edition, like where you have people order it beforehand, kind of like a HasLab, kind of like Hasbro has done with the E-Wing. You have people that are interested, order it beforehand, pay it so that you have their money, and then you produce that exact amount. That way everybody's happy. Everybody that wanted one gets one. If you missed out on it, well, you know, you missed that 30-day window that was available. That's the worst that happened. So I think that would be the ideal with something like this. But hey, it's Disney. It's their exclusives. And there's oftentimes no rhyme or reason for how things play out. So Disney, if you're watching, please do that next time. Please do an open window and order it beforehand. Do better. Do better. And I guess the last thing I just want to tell Disney about this, how this played out.
Good job.
So, all right. Well, I think we can move on to our final topic for this show. So this is the final segment where we talk about brand new things that we've added to our collections.
Good. New acquisitions.
All right. So anything you guys have added to your collections lately? I have 2 items here. I'm going to go last, and everybody in the chat, if you want to tell us what it is that you've added to your collection, please let us know, and we'll call it out as we go. Either one of you guys want to go first?
I'll go.
Okay.
I gotta grab something. All right.
Always love the collector grab off screen.
I mean, like, so obviously I was super long-winded about Skeleton Crew, so I went out and got the Lego set of the Onyx Cinder is what they're calling it. It's a good build. Lately with and I don't do all the Lego, but I did the Ghost, I did the T16 Ahsoka ship. So I do, the ones that speak to me. And I will say lately, I really didn't have a lot of problems with the Ghost. This one, the only nitpick I really have, because I like the look of the ship, is the space on the inside. If it was just a little bit bigger to house the kids. So whenever I get a set, this is just just a thing I do. Whenever I get a set, I usually put together like a little base that houses the people. And this time, it's the kids. And
that's fun.
So I always make like a little base. My kid has so many Lego bins. I myself don't have like Lego bins of stuff, but he has them and they're color coded. And does that make him more organized than me? Maybe, but he does. So I went upstairs and kind of did that. So, like I said, this is one of those projects where I'm crossing my fingers, but the feels from the trailer will make me buy product immediately. And one of the things I found for Lego does for me, it really helps me in that in-between time where there's no vintage collection, there's no Black Series, there's no retro, there's not much, so those are the times that I'll go to Lego the most. And then outside of that, I picked up I'm big into the G.I. Joe Classified, so I got the Stinger. I've got a lot of the original vehicles, the world building, the size of world building that is a lot easily I can display that a lot easily than I can the 6-inch stuff. I'm still trying to find spaces for some of the classified, the 6-inch stuff. And then right before the show, I got the vintage collection Jabba, the new one. Cool. So I will definitely be adding him to the Jabba play set and updating that accordingly. So I'm excited about that. I got 2 of them because I'm going to throw the 2 cards in star cases or at least protect them in some way.
Nice.
And then the last thing I've got, I didn't mention this before, but I've been collecting Marvel Legends for a very long time. And this is the Danny Ketch version of Ghost Rider, the more 90s Ghost Rider.
Right on.
So pretty good week. It would have been better if the speeder arrived on Wednesday night.
Yeah, that would have been a good one to share for sure. But next week, hopefully you'll have it. Hopefully that works out. All right, Brad, what have you added to your collection?
I'm gonna start off with this. These, I don't know if anybody is into these. Maybe if you have kids, you are. But my kids really like Doorables. They're just these tiny little things, little guys, little things like this. They usually are like Disney characters, so they've got a ton of Disney ones. Recently, they started doing Star Wars ones, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start picking those ones up for myself. So I got this one recently. It's like a dark side one. It comes, you can see every character that's going to be in there, so those are pretty cool. I also got another one. It was like Jedi versus Sith, and it came with just these 2 little tiny ones. And I put a little TikTok up because I was like doing an unboxing for TikTok, and then halfway through it, I was like, wait, what do I even do with this package that it came in? I threw it out. Spoilers for the video, but like I didn't know what to do with it because it was like it came with this really cool, like I think I have it here. This little base that lights up. The red and blue lightsabers, depending on what side you put it on. But the package was absolutely horrible for displaying, so I just ended up ripping it open and just saved the little lighting thing. But they're fun. If you like some tiny little Star Wars figures, they're pretty cool, and mostly blind bag stuff. But these Star Wars ones have given given you exactly what's included. I also picked up this Halloween pack for Black Series. I
Nice.
love the Halloween stuff. These ones are super cool. I love just the Inquisitor Dracula is awesome, and the Frankenstein. What is that? Bounty Hunter. That's all. Basically, I love it. And the little props that it always comes with, like I've got the werewolf like Wookiee up there, and there's a stormtrooper actually right above me, like a Halloween looking one. But I love that they come with like this like little like zombie looking Babu Frick and like this bat. Like it's very awesome. So I got that. I would be silly if I didn't mention my ongoing hunt for not Star Wars, McDonald's cups. Finally found the Jurassic one like yesterday. Which one is it? It's this one. It's got the Jurassic, which I love that they came out with cups immortalizing cups. It's hilarious. Cups on cups. So so that's fun. And lastly, I have to show this off because I haven't really shown it off yet. I don't think too much, but a friend of mine pointed me in the direction of this Instagram user, Prime2DA First, 1ST. And I didn't know about it, but he does these little commissions for different like cabinets, like arcade cabinets and different stuff. And what was it? The 20th anniversary of Phantom Menace? Is that what the anniversary was? Or has it been longer?
25th.
25th. Okay. I had to get this, and it's this Pepsi.
Oh, that's cool.
The Pepsi machine with the Phantom Menace stuff. It's like an iconic Pepsi machine. If you ever seen it out there, it comes with this like a little light that I don't really use it, but it's just so cool. It's got all the little soda brands on there, Dr. Pepper, Pepsi, all that stuff. But I just had to have this. It's such like I feel like the Phantom Menace and Pepsi is just an ongoing joke for me on the Forcecast. We are continually watching. I don't know if you've ever seen the old Pepsi commercial for Star Wars. It was hilarious. But I just had to have this thing. So go check it out. I know he does different runs here and there, so you might be able to pick one up yourself. But yeah, it was worth it. It was like only like $70 or so. So
yeah,
I just like that Sebulba is on it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's
having
awesome.
Sebulba on a soda machine is.
Yeah, I know. The graphics are fine. Like the graphics are cool. They're a little grainy sometimes if you look at them up close, but like I don't care. It's super cool. Like it's super unique. Like I feel like you have to be a certain kind of fan to want that specific, prop, I guess.
Yeah. Are you going to use those glasses?
No, they're just going to stay down here. I've got some old McDonald's glasses over there, so they're going to stay just down here. I felt like I brought it to my son, and I was like, hey, look at this. Isn't that a cool cup? And he's like, oh, it's got Lego cheeseburger and French fries on it. That's awesome. He's like, can I drink out of it? I'm like, no. No. Yeah, so that's funny. And Rick, you mentioned your son has more Lego. Like that's my son too. We just got him bins for his birthday to sort everything, and we spent hours just sorting everything, and he's obsessed with it. So yeah, I should do what you do. That's a good idea to build those little bases.
Yeah, I'm like, where are your grays and your blacks? And like he left the room and went to play Fortnite, and I was up there, and my wife's like, where were you? I'm like, you don't want I was doing something. That was a project.
That's amazing.
That's cool. I haven't gotten any of those glasses yet. I haven't tried. I actually didn't really even know about them until like you guys started showing pictures of them in the chat. So
yeah.
If there's any available, so I might have to try.
I know if they're available. Yeah, that's another horror story of the week is the McDonald's sold out cups.
That's another topic.
Yeah. All right, let's see here. For me, I've got 2 items. Last week I had a bunch. This week, not really. So this week I've got 1 item right here. Oops. I think I put Rick on solo loud instead of myself. Here we go. All right, so I got the Batman animated series Bat Cycle. I already had the DC Direct one from several years back, but since I got the new Batmobile that McFarlane is reissuing, I thought, hey, I need to get the Bat Cycle 2 to go with it. So this is the second version of it here. It's got more blue on it this time. It doesn't have a Batman figure, but it has a head that you can put on the existing Batman figure. So he's got his helmet on, which the DC Direct one did have the whole figure with it. So I don't know what McFarlane's doing over there, but this one doesn't have that. The other item came in today, and I haven't even taken it completely out of the box yet, but I did cut the tape on it. So let's do that together. I'm gonna pull this guy out. That here is the Hot Toys Obi-Wan Kenobi 501st Stormtrooper or Clone Trooper. So this just came in today. This one came from Australia. I had to get it from Pop Culture. So I already have the older 501st from Revenge of the Sith, but this is the Obi-Wan Kenobi version. It's a little bit different. I know it's kind of silly, but it is a little bit different. It has different parts, different paint. So yeah, next time I rework the DTOF displays, that's going to go in there. And those are the only two things I've added this week. I haven't added anything else. Next week, hope to have the new Java TVC. And I think I also had the Black Series Hammerhead coming in. So hopefully both of those will be in by next show.
Nice.
As far as what the chat has been adding to their collections, let's see what we got here. Adam says animatronic Walt Disney nods in agreement with Victoria about the Disney exclusives. Yeah, maybe. Rogue Killer says finally received my VC Jabba with 88, also a Black Series Empire Strikes Back Boba Fett helmet. Very nice. William says I got the Jabba playset. Yeah, a lot of people are getting that. Mine haven't come in, but a lot of people are getting that. Allison, pick up the vintage Ewok Village. That is awesome. It's a great pickup. And Allison, I love the spelling of your name. It's very Game of Thrones. Let's see. Adam says it was a big week. Got the Black Series Soul, Indara, Sidious, Mama Nidon. Also got Hot Toys and Attack of the Clones Anakin and the 6-scale Disney Amidala. Very nice. And I got a certain nameless D23 exclusive vehicle. It's okay. You can say it. I can handle it. I can handle it. Trevor says got the Mandalorian Judge arrived this week, but that's it. Dodson says didn't bring much from the flea markets last Saturday, but I did snag one of the Raptors from the Lost World Battling Raptors game for about $1. Blue and orange variant. Nice. Yeah, and that's it. Not a lot of acquisitions this week in the chat, but thank you guys for sharing nonetheless. All right, my friends, it's been a long show, so we're gonna go ahead and call it. But of course, we do want to end by thanking you guys immensely for coming on to this week's Cantina Social Hour. Brad, I know it'd been a while since I've had you on. I think it's probably over a year at this point. But thank you for coming on and hanging out. And I know I have everything linked down below in the description, but where can our viewers go to find you on the interwebs?
Well, mostly on the Jurassic Park podcast. Like I said at the beginning, just taking a slight break for, the end of summer here. But yeah, I'll be back there pretty soon. And I live stream every Wednesday night over on our YouTube channel. And also I'm on Grim Grinning Hosts, which we talk about theme parks and pop culture stuff. So go check out that one. We're going to be doing our D23 wrap up thing next week. So we have a big panel for that too. I did one for the Forcecast the other day. So that's out there right now. We talked about D23. We talked about a bunch of Star Wars news. So that's out there now. And I'm on Letterboxd, leaving some reviews for movies. Go check it out over on Letterboxd. Brad M. Joost.
Nice. Awesome. And Rick, where can our viewers go to find you online?
You can find me on Instagram as shatrdglassjazz, just like it's spelled on the screen. I do have a X Twitter, but I'm not active, so I always point people to Instagram. I'm fairly active on Instagram.
Yeah, I haven't been really using it either. It sucks. Pretty awful.
Basically.
But Yeah, no, links are down below to you guys' content. So keep doing what you're doing. Thanks for the great work. And thanks again for coming on. It's been fun.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And to everybody who's been hanging out with us tonight in the chat or, simply viewing, we really appreciate you. Thank you for watching Cantina Social Hour as always. We'll be back next week. Hopefully it'll be some good news. We'll see. But either way, no matter where you're tuning in from around the galaxy, thank you for watching Cantina Social Hour. Be well, be safe. May the force be with you. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next time. Panel, hang on for just a moment, and I will see everybody next show. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.